out of everybody that's currently involved with the whole Dogra Labyrinth situation, the one that is the largest odd man out definitely has right now to be Gajeel. Because when you compare him to the other characters, you can look at obviously the level of spotlight attention and ongoing stuff for people like Natsu and Lucy, obviously the main characters, and especially with Natsu and like Igni and stuff. And then with Gray even has his own stuff going on with, obviously, like, can't really compare like as much with like the personal Juvia stuff because Gajeel does have some of his own personal character stuff, but in terms of his, like, it's way more grounded rather than like the current ongoing like primary story. Got, like, Gray's got events obviously being in the 100 Years quest. He's got stuff going on right now with Sai and Gold Owl. Urza's got her own kind of like personal things going on, but also obviously like she just fought Misaki. She's also got one of the best fights in 100 Years quest with Laxus. But when you look at him and say like, if you were like, the one comparison I was using for a while, and this was probably one of the better ones in terms of just like getting my point across prior to like the stuff with Sai. If we ended this arc, like if we just went with the the Dogra mag after Kieran, then it would be weirder for Gajeel than it would be for Gray. Because it'd be weird to end the arc with them not getting fights, but Gray already had, like, he just had a fight with Akune, which, I mean, it was a while ago to us, but it was not a long time ago in terms of the manga, in terms of obviously the chapter count as well. But it would be really strange to end the arc without giving him a fight. But when you compare it to, say, like Gajeel, it's way less strange. Because Gray does have other content and other spotlight moments already in 100 Years Quest. Gajeel really hasn't had any. And on top of that, Gajeel hasn't had any straight wins since, like his fight with... I mean, you can kind of compare, like, you can say... Like, actually, I'm trying to think as I was going to, like, give an example of just, like, without an outside influence, like a straight win-win. But it's like he had outside influence for Future Rogue. He had it for Torafusa, and he had it for Bloodman. So I think he just deserves, like, a really hype win. I think he deserves... Well, but you can say it's a little different for Rogue, considering it was, like, a double-end cheat. But Gajeel, I think, really deserves a moment. I think Gajeel really deserves like a really good one for not doesn't have to be anything to do with like his stuff with Levy. It doesn't have to do with anything of his character like having to take some broad new step, because I don't think that he really needs some character redefining moment in terms of like a fight. I think he needs something that has like an extra spice on his character, gives him just an extra bit of information, maybe gives us a new bit of like backstory or lore, something that we haven't seen, or like an angle from a different situation from Gajeel's perspective, something that just kind of like gives us a little bit more insight, gets us to know Gajeel a little bit more. But I really would like him to get just like a really good general spotlight moment, one where it's hype for him. You get lots of nice general like just fight content, lots of just good times to see like him accomplish some stuff. We have had a lot of really great character moments and writing and progression for Gajeel. That's definitely like a huge plus. But we can see it with Gray in 100 Years Quest from the standpoint of readers. Like, Gray's had a lot of really good character content, but he hasn't had a lot of good fights and battles and kind of like content for his like moveset and abilities. That advancement that comes with the progression of a battle shonen. Because I look at like Lucy, Urza, Wendy, like they've all had nice new upgrades and different like ways that their abilities have advanced. Gray hasn't really had that, and I think from the standpoint of the readers, like it's still cool to get points where it's doing more for them for a personal character aspect. Obviously, stuff with Gray and Juvia, and then Gajeel, like seeing all the stuff with like him working to make sure he's gonna have money to support his kids and Levy and stuff. That stuff is obviously thumbs up, great, but there's a degree of relevancy I think that's needed. Because if it was, say, like a character like Redis, like a character we were just gonna get a little bit of just like seeing how he's doing, oh cool, like he's got his life on track, things are doing pretty well for him, cool. But for characters like Gajeel and Gray, and I think this is where a lot of the general takes, not necessarily takes, but a lot of where the feelings are rooted out of. And it comes to with like relevancy of like the characters from like a power level standpoint. Because I think everybody can just think of a character. You don't have to pick the show, but like think of a character in a battle shonen where power levels exceed where those characters are at, and they just don't keep up, and they fall into the background, and they don't really do too much. And there's just like sometimes they'll show up for like a reference where you can think back to a part where the character was at, or some form of motivational point, or something that just kind of says like cool to the character, but you know they're not going to be fighting or like having like a big part in defeating the enemies in the next part. Because I think especially when it comes to battle shonen, that's something that everybody has in the back of their mind, even if they don't really think about power levels that much. There's that idea of like when character starts to slip back, and you just know that they're going to they're pretty much going to become background art if they don't manage to somehow kind of make that jump. And that's the worry. I don't think Gajeel has to worry about that right now, but I feel like it's because of not how Gray in reality has been, but like where he's been compared to other characters, and then that kind of like sets similar to Gajeel, and it gives a little bit of an uneasy feeling. That's one of the reasons I think Gajeel really needs a fight this arc. I think the fight has to happen. I really think that he needs to have just a pure Gajeel hype battle. I don't think that he has to have some new realization about his children or Levi. I would love to have a fight where it's like way more set to him. Like, say if it was Mad Mole, it came down to like a fight where it's like had to do with like durability and pride. Maybe Mad Mole is actually like because of Armor Dragon, it's a type of metal dragon, so it had to do with maybe the dragon that Mad Mole ate knew of Metallicana, and it was not like a Kieran and Laxus thing, but it was more of like, say the dragon. Say like Mad Mole was like, oh, I was interested in eating a dragon like yours, but I found a better one or something. I don't want something less efficient, or something that it's like it doesn't come off as an insult, but Gajeel takes it as an insult because it'd be something that he might be able to see as like slander towards Metallicana or something. And then so he's gotta defend his father's honor, or something like that, where it doesn't have to be some deep rooted thing. I'm not against it if like Mishima can spin it in a way that really benefits like. If there was something that connected to like his children and Levi, but I would really like my core hopes are just that he gets something that is going to really give a nice extra thumbs up to his character, that you can look at and be like, yeah, that was pretty sweet, that was hype. Like I'm glad this character got a plus to them. Like there's a little bit of extra context to like when Max and all the other like smaller members of the guild went and teamed up with Wendy against Doom. There was obviously the fact that there was like more of an idea of like the teamwork of like the guild aspect to them that kind of went more with it. But from a standpoint of really just when you think about the writing of what those characters accomplished, it was more of like just like a cool moment for them. Like they got to be more powerful than they'd ever been before. They got to fight against somebody that they'd never be able to beat by themselves. Or any other scenarios, like if Wendy wasn't pretty much present, but a way that really just kind of gave like their characters like, a +1. And I think that at the end of the day, that's what Gajeel needs. I don't think Gajeel has to have some revelations and realizations in his life at this stage, but I think the core is like he just needs something that we can look at and be like, yeah, Gajeel had some sick moves this arc. Like he's a potential MVP kind of area. We'll see. I mean, obviously, it's a bit of a wait. Right now, we're on the stuff with Sai and Gray. But I think Gray having something in the arc that was clearly just set for later gives Gajeel some hope. Because Scully and Mad Mole, even though they're still like in the unknown limbo, like it's not even like, oh yeah, they're still down. We haven't seen them forever. Like, we haven't seen them in a while. Because they went down before Laxus and Kieran had their first skirmish. So that's like 15, 16 chapters ago plus. It's been a bit. So it's like they could be up or they could still be unconscious. But the possibility of them coming back is still existent. And we could have that fight with Mad Mole and Gajeel. Or one of these alchemists could show up and fight Gajeel. Who knows? We could have one of the Dogra golems. Maybe he'll end up making one of these super golems. And when we saw Kyria not being able to cut one earlier, it'll be like that, where instead it's like the durability will be against the Dogra material and Gajeel. Something for Gajeel just to give him a win at the end of the day. Because right now, he doesn't really have anything right now that I think we can have like some secret connection, at least as of right now, unless like one of the Diablos members actually like used to do criminal stuff with Gajeel before he joined Phantom Lord and then went off to this other continent. Unless there's some kind of like extra thing in there like that, I feel like it's got to be way more kind of in the moment where he's got his stakes in the fight, and then something that really kind of just benefits him. Because I still think that there's the hype for him with Viernes over the Dogra mag situation, but obviously he's in this arc, so I still think he needs to do something. We could get like a really cool in this arc and get something amazing next arc. And I still gotta put up the video of like Gajeel and my plans for him and Viernes, because I still have I have a video on it. I've gotten sidetracked, but I think I'll have that probably soon. Especially if Gajeel, I think if Gajeel gets some form of setup fight in the next couple chapters, I'll be so much more motivated to get it up there. Especially like if he's gonna stick around for the next arc, because I would love to get some Gajeel content. But anyway, that's mostly it. Like it's just mostly a rundown over the whole situation that he's in, because he's felt really weird and like in a limbo state. Gajeel hasn't had anything too big in terms of a win, like a fight in a while. Because really, when you look at even his fight, and I think the problem is you don't have the same feeling. This is the last thing I want to bring up. You don't have the same feeling with Future Rogue or Tempesta, or sorry, not Tempesta, Torafusa, because with those fights, like with Iron Shadow Dragon, sudden hype, really cool moments. With his fight with Torafusa, there was a fight already existent, and it was like obviously combating the obstacle, like the Noah Air and the poison and whatnot. But with Bloodman, the fight felt really short, and I feel like that's one of the reasons it's felt like Gajeel hasn't gotten a fight in forever. So I'm hoping he gets something good soon. But anyway, other than that, comment below. Tell me your thoughts about the situation and what you think's going on with Gajeel, and if you think anything's going to happen to him or for him soon in the comments below. Thumbs up the video, friend, like, but subscribe, and check out my other videos. But that, I appreciate it. Already subscribed, then I thank you all for listening. Bye.